a lot of times you look out there and you recognize the birds. They all look like they're supposed to look, but sometimes you look and one of them just doesn't look right. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you'll see, say, a grackle. Everybody could recognize a grackle or one of the other blackbirds, but you'll see one with some white feathers in his tail, or maybe a few white feathers in a wing. And you say, yeah, that's strange. Sometimes you hear somebody talk about, or you may even see, an albino bird. And say, and you hear that a lot. This bird was albino, that bird was albino. And sometimes it's not. There's a very fine distinction between being leucistic or an albino. And we're going to go over that a little bit. And we may even have some pictures.
Yeah, I want to see that, what an albino bird looks like. I don't know that I've ever seen one.
You don't see them too often. They tend not to survive as long as other birds for several reasons.
Yeah, they get seen.
They have other weaknesses, and they really stand out. I've seen a couple, not many. Seen several albino hummingbirds or leucistic hummingbirds, and the difference in those two is an albino, and we'll look at a great example in just a minute. But albino has total loss of pigment, and so the eyes of these birds, a good way to tell, will be pink or reddish, and no dark color in it at all. And you'll look at the bill or the legs, they'll be pinkish instead of the dark color. And on a leucistic bird, they'll have some pigment in there, but have maybe some feathers that are white, as I mentioned on the blackbirds, a couple of feathers, or maybe the whole bird would be missing one of the shades of coloring, which will give an entirely different look. And I know mention someplace, actually I'll just go ahead and mention it now. There's a picture of a cardinal that you really ought to take a look at. It's on Cole's Facebook page. We have posted it there. So when this show's over, not right now, when this show's over, look into Cole's Facebook page and look for the rare cardinal, yellow cardinal. You're going to look at it and think it's a big goldfinch at first because it just doesn't look right. When we're talking about strange birds, that's one of them.
So which one is this one?
That is a leucistic bird. It's not albino because it's not totally devoid of color.
Yeah.
And you can see the bill has a color, but I've never seen one like this myself. I see a patch of color, one wing or the tail or the breast or something is totally covered. But this one looked like it got scattered all over, a shotgun effect. Little patches of color that are missing in the feathers all over the bird. It's a really strange looking bird.
Yeah.
And now here we go.
That's full albino, right?
That's a full albino, and if you could make it out on there, the eye will be a reddish or pinkish color. As you can see, the bill has lost its color, the legs have lost their color, the feathers have no color. That's an albino.
Wow, I've never seen one. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yep. And sometimes you see these birds, you don't know what they are. We get so used to how we identify them, but without their color patterns, it really throws you have to stop and think about it and look very carefully. And sometimes you just say, no, I don't know what it is.
Wow. It's got to be extremely rare, is it?
It's pretty rare, yeah. Yeah, you can go a long time without seeing one, but every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of one or somebody else will see one and take a picture.
The fact that they even survive any time at all in nature is amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, albino hummingbird? No, that's not what that is.
Very good. You nailed it right there. You know it's not an albino. And it's not an albino because you see the bill has coloring in it, the eye has coloring in it, the legs have coloring in it, and also you can catch down the back and the tail. But there's a lot of white on that bird. So you get into identification, I don't know, you don't have the other patterns. You don't know what the gorget color is. Hard to tell what it is. The next picture is going to show the difference between this one, which is leucism, a leucistic bird, and the next bird, which is an albino.
Wow.
There's an albino.
Yeah, that is a difference. Look at the eye color.
And you can see the bill lacks the color.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's white. There's no color on that bird. Those are beautiful birds.
Yeah. Oh, I can
really
imagine.
neat.
Could you imagine have you ever seen an albino hummingbird?
Yes, I've had some in my hand.
Really?
Yes. We went out, we've had a couple of calls, and we've gone out, and I was with somebody, and we captured a bird and banded the bird. So see if we could find it somewhere else if it ever showed back up again. So I got to see it.
I bet it's never showed back up. It's just not.
We didn't find it again, but you know, we had a shot at it. So we got to examine it closely.
That you'd see one.
It was a ruby throat.
Yeah.
And when we wrapped it in, you have a little like sock. You wrap it in to keep it safe while you're holding it. And I took a picture of that, and later it looked like this little bird with a smoking jacket on.
You don't still have that picture, do you?
Yeah, I have it somewhere, yeah.
You'll
And
have to bring
it
it in
just looked
sometime.
so cute, the little bird's little head sticking up and had a little,
adorable.
like a little jacket on it. And I've always said, well, that's my bird in this little smoking jacket. But,
Yeah, that's so cute.
They're interesting birds. To see one
Yeah.
that's totally different in color. There's another part of this also. You may look at a bird and the bill doesn't look quite right. And the first one I saw myself was on a feeder that I
Oh
had.
my
Oh, there's a
gosh,
great picture right there.
yeah.
The bill has overgrown and it's
Mm-hmm.
crossed itself. And these birds sometimes have so much trouble eating they do not survive.
Aw.
But some of them get along okay. This one looks like it doesn't look ragged. It doesn't look weak. It's hard to tell, but it may be getting along just fine, especially if there's a feeder around.
Well, it doesn't look too thin, does it?
Here's another bird that has what we'd call a crossbill. There are a group of birds called crossbills whose
Yeah.
bill is designed very much like the one you're looking at there for cracking certain types of seeds. This is not designed this way. This is a problem with the keratin in the bill. It's a malformation. And you'll see this. If you ever see a bill that just doesn't look right, there's a lot of different ways it can show up or express itself, but that's one of them right there.
Yeah, so interesting. That's fascinating. And then, oh my goodness.
This bird
That is not pretty.
This bird caused me a problem a long time ago.
Really?
There was a lady I knew, and she told me she had this bird, and she described this bird. She said, I have this bird, it's red, it's fairly large, but it's got this little bitty head and this huge red beak. And I said, yeah, right, okay. And I went over the description with her a couple times. She said, yeah, that's it. And I knew this lady, and she had told me she loves to have a martini when she gets at home. And I'm thinking, well, maybe she loved to have more than one or two martinis because I've never heard of a big red bird with a small blue head and a large red beak. And I said, well, could you possibly get a picture of this bird? And she said, sure. All right. A couple of days later, she brought me the picture, and that's what it looked like.
That's fascinating.
And she described the bird absolutely perfectly.
Yes, she did.
And I'd never seen anything like that before. I've seen some cardinals, and especially blue jays, with the little feathers missing off their head, but I'd never seen a cardinal like that. So I got a chuckle out of that, and I love to show a picture like that whenever I can because it's great.
Yeah, you know.
It's a really strange bird.
Yeah, they do not, and it's just molting, right?
Yes,
There's nothing wrong with
There's,
it.
there's two problems that you could have. There could be some lice or mites on the bird. They can't get them off, especially on the head. It's the only place they can't get to well. And that may be causing a problem. And also, it just could be the way that particular bird molts.
Yeah.
Each year they're going to lose all of their feathers. Generally, it's staged so they don't get bald in any one place.
Yeah.
And it's staged so that the wing feathers will fall off and regrow at a time they don't need to fly for. So it works out pretty well. There's still some argument about whether the ones with the head is because they can't get to it to scratch and remove the parasites or because it's just their molt pattern.
Yeah.
Either way, it's funny to see that.
It is.
You'll see a lot of blue jays. I have, in my
Yeah?
experience, more blue jays that way. And you see some other birds too, and obviously a few cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it mostly
Strange
with
birds.
cardinals.
Just when you see
Yeah.
something like that, take note of it. Make some notes down. Take a picture if you can. Send it to somebody. 'Cause
Yeah.
these are interesting to see.